If you are actually looking to take professional photos, then you need to understand what aperture is used for, because it creates very nice bokeh blurs as what you see on the screen. So let's learn more in this tutorial right now. Hey, it's Alvin here, welcome to our video. And in case you don't know what aperture is basically the ring hole, how big is open, alright, within the lens through where the light travels into the camera body. That's how determines the aperture hole here. The wider the hole, the more light goes into the camera. Alright, so that's important to know because that will determine how much light actually goes into your camera, and that's what aperture is all about. So it goes by f-stop. So ironically, the smaller the number, the more light goes into the camera. So you can see over here, f-stop 1.4, alright, has the wide, very wide aperture, okay, and that means more light will go in. But the smaller the hole, okay, the bigger the f number will be. So it's the total opposite, okay, of what you think. Okay, there are benefits to having a big 1.4 aperture and a small aperture over here. Okay, so I'm going to explain more in this aspect. This is a real photo of how the aperture looks like. Alright, so let's say if your camera is set as 1.4 aperture, it looks something like this, and you use set f16, it will look something like this, which the hole is relatively very small. Okay, so what does the aperture affects? Alright, it affects the bokeh effect background of the image. When you see professional photos taken like this on the left, where you see there's a focus of one object, as what you see here, the flowers. Alright, it's actually using a higher f number. So what you see here is actually a f 5.6 aperture with large aperture and fast shutter speed. Okay, what you see here is a f32 with small aperture and slow shutter speed. So you can see that this picture, very obvious, is focusing on this particular flower, whereas this one gives some details of the background. Alright, and that's the difference between a good lens and not so good lens. Okay, so generally most people are very obsessed about this background blur because it portrays professionalism, because apparently only expensive lenses have very big aperture. Okay, so that's the reason why professionals spend money, a lot of money, to buy expensive lens to have higher aperture on their cameras. Okay, so that they can have this nice background blur, which on the mobile phone is pretty hard to do. Alright, it can do, but it's just artificial background blur. But if you zoom in, it's not so nice for printing at the moment right now. Another useful tool about aperture is the depth. You can actually hide depth, alright, using aperture. So on the right here, you can see it's aperture 3.5. you can see this is blur out at the top, and here is more sharper, so it focuses the eye towards here. Alright, whereas this photo on the left, it focuses the entire thing. Alright, so there's no focus on the image. Alright, so there's one benefit of aperture. The aperture normally focus on things that is closest to you. Okay, so this is closer to me, and that's the reason why this area here, alright, is actually more focused than here. So you have to readjust yourself. Alright, if you want to have more focus, then you need to increase your f stop, okay, to more, and then you'll be able to take a clearer photo showing all the details of the wall. But most people like this kind of photos than this, because there's a focal point focus there. And but the danger is that, if you have not noticed yet, when you use a higher f number, you have to actually have longer exposure time. Right, this one has a shorter exposure time. Okay, so normally when there's a lot of light in the sunlight, for example, you don't have to use very slow shutter speed. All right, and the reason why you don't want to have slow shutter speed, because the slower your shutter speed, there are higher chance there will be camera shake. All right, and then the picture will get blurred. Okay, so you don't want to have around maybe 1:60 around there. All right, around there, and I always use 1:60. All right, so you don't want to use too slow. Okay, if it's too slow, the chance of it having a very blur image, the entire image being blurred, is very high chance, and you have to keep on taking it. And sometimes you cannot see it on the camera. You can see it on the computer itself. Okay, and so that's one thing to take note. When there's a lot of light, all right, you can actually use fast exposure time, no problem. But it's very dark, you need to decrease this lower and lower. Okay, and let's say you want to reproduce this same image in a less, not so bright environment, you need to even go slower than this, which is very hard to take. Can be 1 second video, so you need a tripod to take that photo, the same photo. So I hope this tutorial helps you in understanding about aperture and understanding the importance of aperture as well, and why people are also obsessed about buying expensive lenses to have high f-stop numbers, okay, 1.4, something like that, so that they can actually take better photos. All right, so thanks for watching, and God bless, and see you in another video very soon.